Okay, so if you've been trying to find a solution as to why sometimes your DYSON V6 head rotates at the start or initial point of the trigger but then stops, you've reached the right page. And this is the reason why, well it was the reason why in my situation anyway. This lovely clump of hair. Right, so I'll show you how I found this and I'll demonstrate hopefully how you can solve your issues. So first things first, if you're not sure about doing any of this work, then I suggest you don't do it and get a professional to do it. Yeah, I don't want to tell you to do something you won't break it, so yeah. Okay, so if you are comfortable with doing the work, fair enough, you can continue. You only need minimal tools. You need well, I've got a Hello Kitty spoon here, a T8 screwdriver, which is a Torx, like a little star head, and I've got this little prong, and you'll see why I need them in a minute. So, okay, so you've checked the obvious things to do first. You've checked that to make sure that it's actually not full and brimming and blocked. You've done all that. You've emptied it. You've checked there's no blockages in the inlet there. You've then actually taken your filter out and you've washed that. Give it a good clean. Leave it to dry for 24 hours before putting it back in and operating. Check all your pipe work. Make sure there's no blockages in there that you can see through it like a telescope. Yep, perfect. And then the next thing to do is test this. So I'll sort of demonstrate what it was doing. It doesn't do it now because I obviously fixed it, but if you pull your trigger, you get the roller spinning initially, then it stops, but the actual vacuum carries on. And what I found was, so the issue is with the head. It's nothing to do with the body, the actual vacuum itself. Check there's no blockages in there, so in this instance mine's nice and clean. Also take your spoon then. Next thing is to twist this little knob through, it's about 90 degrees. Lift it from the left, then you just wiggle it, and from the right hand side it will come out. Gives you a bit more access then. Make sure all this isn't nice and clean. I have found a few times where this is blocked up over time, so yeah, give it a good clean out. Also make sure that the brush is clean, full of hair. The amount of times I have to clean this is unreal. I've got a wife with long hair and two girls, so I'm forever having to cut hair off this. To remove this, you see the end, take your spoon, twist it, it's like an 1/8 of a turn, pull it off, and then this axle or brush bar will actually pull out. You can then give that a clean, make sure it's nice and clean before you put it back in. Okay, so you've done all that, still the same. The next thing to do is to take your T8, and as I say, only do this if you're competent and you're happy to do so. But what you see is there's a hole in the axle driver there. This section actually does drive the brush. There is a motor built in here and there's a belt drive here, so you don't need to take any of all this apart. It's just literally get your T8 into the end. If you just twist it, hang on. Normally the actual drive will twist with it, so you need to hold the drive, twist out the T8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I'd say about 8 or 9 turns. And it should be free. There we go. Try and catch it. So grab that, put it to one side so you don't lose it. Then the first time I took this off, it was really tight, so you can give it a wiggle. If it doesn't come off, then you need to try and prise it off. As I say, I don't want you to damage yours, so you be really careful with this. Take your time. If you're not happy, don't continue and just rebuild it. But what you do is take your little prong. I mean, you could probably use a flat blade screwdriver as well, but that just goes under. There's a small gap It should, there we go. So that's released, prised up, pull it off. And what I found was the hair actually gets stuck behind there, like so. The heat generated from the rotation does cause the hair to burn. Probably causes heat to travel into the bearing, which is below, and cause it to seize. So that's really it. Take the hair out, pop it back on, put your T8 bit back in, or screw, sorry. Place it down, tighten it back up. You'll have to hold the actual axle to tighten it because it'll otherwise just turn. Right, that's tight. Back in there. Oh, that bit back on there. It only goes one way, I think. This section back in. Just run it from right. Stick it in there. Push down. Turn back through 90 degrees. That's it, nicely built up, everything's all clean. Plug her back on, let's check. Voila, there she goes, she works again. So hopefully that fix does work for you. Okay, so if you've been trying to find a solution as to why sometimes your DYSON V6 head rotates at the start or initial point of the trigger, but then stops, you've reached the right page. And this is the reason why, well it was the reason why in my situation anyway, this lovely clump of hair. Right, so I'll show you how I found this, and I'll demonstrate hopefully how you can solve your issues.